Morning, everybody.
Morning.
I usually read the text before I start, but I'm going to go through the text verse by verse anyway, so I'll do that later. But we're going through a series called God's Financial Advice for you and for me. The first one was, what was his first advice to us? Matthew 6? Don't worry. If he can feed the birds of the air, and all they do is poop on our cars, he can feed you. That's what he's saying. But his second advice today for us is be content. Be content. Everybody say that to yourself. Be content. Say it like you're convinced. Be content. You know, I'm thinking this week, what do I really need in my life to be alive? So I'm thinking, well, of course, all the things that God provides, the air, and I need clothing, so I need my pants, my suit, need my shoes, and then all of a sudden my list expanded. I need my golf clubs. All of a sudden I have, I do need a phone, right? So I need an iPhone. Somebody just messaged me. I need an iPhone. And I do need a laptop because I need something to use for my work. And I need my iPad because that's what I use. I don't print anymore. I save a tree. I use my note here. And I need a car too. And all of a sudden, all my list, I'm confused between my needs and my wants. Have you ever gotten to that point where you're confused? I get confused. Where is really the line here that I need this to be alive, to survive, and as opposed to these are my wants? And so the message this morning actually reminds us of that, because in a culture where we desire more, this is a culture that, we see it on TV a lot. You need this, you need that. If you don't have that, you won't be happy. If you don't have iPhone 7, you won't be happy. No, you won't be happy. You need iPhone 7. See, Apple is trying to convince you. I have iPhone 5C. And, the word content, let me just define it for us right now. The word content, this is from someone I read, and I like this. It's actually what contentment is. The word content is not wanting more than what you already have. If you just want what you have, that's contentment. That's being content. So let's give you some explanation here. In America alone, every 5-year-old has an average of 250 toys. That's 5 years old. They're barely living 250 weeks, and they have 250 toys. That's an average, 1 toy a week. No wonder why they start growing up and they never become contented. We train them well, don't we? We train our kids not to be content. And so they grow up, they become teenagers, they become adults, and all of a sudden, I drive an old car, and I get into a friend's car. Wow, brand new car, it smells new. And we're doing that today. We have a dedication. And we do need a car, yes. I guess in Canada, right? It's cold. But I go into this nice car and smells good, and then I go back to my old car that smells like old French fries and stinky feet. And so it motivates me. Yeah, maybe I do need some. Maybe I do need a car.
A new car? Yes.
Yeah, I actually do need a car. I'm thinking of buying one because my stinky feet car is there. Old French fries. And so this text today is really an idea. Let me just explain to you, because you go into a store and you come out, you intend to buy one item in the store. You come out with 5 items. Why? Because the item that you want, all you want is milk. But they put it at the back of the aisle. So you pass all the chips, you pass all the other things. It's a marketing stuff. So you intend to buy one, you come out with 5. And even more if you have money. Okay, so this man, he works in New York City. His job is to replace light bulbs in those skyscrapers, those tall buildings. He bought a $1 lottery ticket. And he won 5 million. And so, one group here would say, why can't I be lucky like that guy? I deserve to be lucky like that. But not all groups are like that, not all people. So there is also a certain group here who would say, I pity that guy. I wish that something never happens to me. So this text actually tells us which side are we on. Are you the person who would say, why can't I be lucky like that guy? Or are you the person who says, I pity that guy. I know it's going to ruin his life. So this text helps us see where we are in our situation, in our lives. And so it starts like this. See, this boy is playing with this toy, so much consumer and materialism in this North America, Canada and America. And so the reminder for us today is in verse 6. It says, in New Living Translation, yet true godliness with contentment is great wealth. True godliness with contentment is itself great wealth. So this morning, we're going to learn 3 things what it means to be content, according to our text. Number 1 is that we need godliness. Because we can only experience true contentment when we are rich toward God. Godliness. Say that word with me, godliness. Godliness. Now it says in our verses 6 to 8, it says, but godliness with contentment is great gain. For we brought nothing into the world, and we can take nothing out of it. But if we have food and clothing, we will be content with that. Contentment. How do we become content? According to our text, even the next verse 11 also. It says, but you, men of God, flee from all this and pursue righteousness, godliness, faith, love, endurance, and gentleness. In our text today, it reminds us that you watch this on TV, especially the evangelists on TV. They say that, once you become a Christian, you're going to be rich. Because the moment you receive God, God is working for you to be rich. And so if you are a poor Christian, you don't have enough faith to be rich. You see this a lot on TV. Because if you have faith, God works for you to be rich. In fact, they teach, I don't know if you know this, but in Texas, for example, the sign that God is blessing you is you drive a Cadillac. Not the chinelas, but that's Cadillac. I'm talking about the Cadillac, the car. That's in Texas. If you are in the West Coast, like California, the sign of being blessed by God as a Christian is driving a Porsche. In the East, for Christians there who are into this teaching, it's a Mercedes. So therefore, if you are not driving a Porsche, if you're not driving a Mercedes, if you're not driving a Cadillac, then you don't have enough faith. But the Bible is reminding us the word contentment. Because how do we gain contentment? It is because we are rich toward God, godliness. So for people who are teaching that you need to be rich if you're a Christian, God works for you. So their memory verse is this, Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. You guys know this from the discipleship, right? Trust in the Lord. This is how they would use this. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge Him, and He will bring you good luck. But that's not what it says, right? He will direct your path straight, to the right path, to a godly path. And so, in our text today, contentment comes when you are godly. But what does it mean to be godly? It's actually, the word godly is used in a Greco-Roman worship. And it means piety, pious religiosity. It could be a devotion, but it also means this, and this is what it's using this text here. It means that you have a balanced and whole life. Meaning, being content with godliness. When you are godly, you are not just concerned about your physical well-being, because you don't exist as a body, as a physical alone. You exist as a spiritual person as well. So when you balance out your physical need and your spiritual need, then you are a whole person. And that is being godly, being rich toward God. Because God doesn't, people think that just being spiritual means being rich with God. But God cares for your body as much as He cares for your spiritual portion too. And so He doesn't separate us between spirit and body and mind. It's all one to Him. So to take care, to be balanced, is to live and to be rich toward God. So when we care for our spiritual life and our physical life, you are being rich toward God. And so some people think that contentment is when you receive something as soon as you want it, then you're content. But in reality, it's not. It means not having all you want, but wanting only what you have. Contentment. Not having all you want, but wanting what you have. And it means self-sufficiency in the old original language. The word content means self-sufficient. So it means that contentment never comes with a material things. It comes when we are balanced. We balance our active life and our contemplative life, our physical and our spiritual, and our being and our doing. You do all the stuff, but you also need to take care of your spiritual life. Paul says this in Philippians 4. It says, he defines contentment this way. I know what it means to be in need, he says, and I know what it is to be plenty. I have learned the secret of being content. In any way, in every way, situation, whether well-fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or in want, he says, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. In verse 13, Philippians 4. Jesus puts it this way. He says, a person's life does not consist of the abundance of the things he possesses. So in other words, contentment is not found in things. In fact, the best things in life are not things. We think the best things in life are things, but they are not. Relationship with God is not things, but it is the best thing in life. So first, you want to be content? Watch your heart. Be balanced. Be godly. Be rich toward God. Second, we also need to guard. Because we experience true contentment when we protect our hearts from the desire for more. Let me just say it this way. Verse 9 and 10. Those who want to get rich fall into temptation and a trap, and into many foolish and harmful desires that plunge people into ruin and destruction. For the love of money is a root of all kinds of evil. Some people eager for money have wandered from the faith and pierced themselves with many griefs. If you want to summarize these two verses, what Paul is really saying is, when he talks about the love of money, he's actually talking about wanting for more. You know, just working extra hours just to get the extra dollar. You know, when you want something more, it says that you love money, wanting for more, you work for more. And so Paul is telling us that there is a warning here. There's a warning sign that in our hearts we will never be contented with things. In fact, the temptation here, the warning that it's a trap, it starts like this. Okay, so first you open a magazine and you see a beautiful car. Let me show you let me tempt you. This car is worth $4.8 million. Who could afford this thing? Well, Floyd Money Mayweather has one. But 4.8 million, you can feed a lot of children in Africa and Asia with that. And so it starts with opening a magazine. You see this beautiful car, and you start seeing your neighbor, not this kind of car. My neighbors, no one in my neighborhood has this kind of car. But you start seeing this car, and the neighbor, you see them worshiping this car, bowing to it. You know, they're actually bowing to their car. They may think they're cleaning their car, and they spend a lot of money on this car. All the gadgets, whatever they can add on to it. And so the temptation for more is actually, it starts with, in this case, a magazine, and then you see it from your neighbor, and then you start thinking, maybe I deserve one too. Maybe I can buy something. And so this love of money, if you remember, the love of money is singular. Love of money is the root of all kinds of evil, plural. So just one love of money can give you a lot of problems. Contentment can save you a lot of money. Contentment can save you a lot of headaches too in your life. So this text that Paul is saying to us is really just a warning to watch out, be on guard at all times, because your yearning for things will always exceed your earnings, unfortunately. Whatever we yearn for things, it always somehow exceeds our earning. So there is a temptation to always want more and more and more and more. That's what the love of money is all about. It's a temptation to have more and more and more. It's like M&Ms, or you need those chips. Once it pops, you can't stop. You just keep. For those of you who like chips, it just never ends. And I remember this guy, this temptation about money, and it's a trap, right? So this guy, he was sponsored from the Philippines with the son. So this guy is maybe in his 50s, middle 50s. So he comes to America. He goes, wow, this is America. This is the American dream. So the moment he lands in the airport, he was already thinking of finding a job. So the next day, he was going around looking for a job, but the problem is he came from a rural town, and he doesn't really speak good English. I mean, if you're in Manila or big city, you can speak good English, but where we came from, barrios, all that stuff, we don't speak good English. And so this man ended up, he was looking for a job. He was so hungry, he ended up in 7-Eleven. And so he got into 7-Eleven, he's looking for a chicken. He said, but he can't, for some reason, he doesn't know the English word for chicken. Manok. That's in Tagalog, right? Manok. He's trying to ask the teller if they sell chicken. So he goes, manok. He can't think of the English word, and he said, pollo? No, that's Spanish, right? Pollo. Pollo loco. And he found an egg, so they were actually selling an egg. He just picked up the egg, he goes, where is the mother? Where is the mother? And the teller said, it's in Safeway. Saan yung nanay nito? So anyway, that was a true story. And then, but the story continues. But this is more like an added to the story, right? I added this to the story. So he ended up going and door to door. He wants to do odd jobs. He wants to do like cleaning the garden or whatever, cleaning the house. So he ended up knocking on this door. And the first guy opens, he says, Sir, new to America. Looking for work, any work. He said, good worker, good worker. And he goes, oh, okay, I have a painting. You know how to paint? Yes, sir, very good paint there, sir, very good. So the guy inside the house said, okay, well, how much will you charge? $50, sir, 50. And so he ended up saying, okay, 50. The paint is in the garage, and all the stuff you need is in the garage, 50. So the owner of the house went back inside. So then he opened the garage, picked up all the paint, and after only like, the owner was expecting like, it could be like 3 hours or something. But an hour and a half. He said, it's finished. And so, wow, he was so impressed that he gave, instead of 50, he gave $100. So, wow, he was so impressed. I give you $100. And I said, sir, thank you very much. So he said, the owner actually asked him to paint the porch of his house. Paint the porch. So it took him, that's why he thought it could be 3 hours, right, to scrape the paint the porch. But it took him an hour and a half, so he said, sir, I actually double coat, because I have extra paint, double coat. And, okay, yeah, $100. So he walked away, and he said, oh, by the way, sir, I forgot to tell you, you don't have a porch, you have a BMW. So there goes your $100, right? You're gonna pay how much? Thousands for your BMW now. It was a Porsche, but he was thinking a car, like a Porsche, right? But he didn't know what a Porsche is, because where I grew up, we had no Porsche. But see, the love of money is a temptation, it's a trap. Be careful. That's what the Bible is reminding us. So if you want to be contented, godliness, everything that is toward God, be rich on that. And then guard your hearts for this wanting for more and more and more. And then finally, the Bible reminds us that generosity can help us with our contentment. Because we can experience true contentment when we are rich toward good deeds. When we are rich toward good deeds. It says, command those who are rich in this present world not to be arrogant, nor to put their hope in wealth, which is so uncertain, but to put their hope in God, who richly provides us with everything for our enjoyment. Command them to do good, to be rich in good deeds, and to be generous, and be willing to share. The Bible reminds us, look at this. I don't know if you've noticed this. Command those who are rich. The Bible is talking about you and me. You don't think you're rich? This verse is talking about you. Do you know that there are over 6 billion people in the world? Over 3 billion are living under $2 a day. More than half of the population living $2. He's talking about us. He's talking about you and me. Let me give you an example. Okay, so I have $2. Over 3 billion people in the world make this in one day. But if I throw this out, nobody would be angry at me. My wife will probably not be angry at me. It's just $2. Because we're rich. You're richer than you think, my friend. If I give this away, I mean, look at this. Nobody is if I throw this away, no one is going to jump and hurt yourself. It's just $2. Right? I mean, if I give this away, nobody even wants it. Anybody wants this? Yes. Oh, Dylan first raised his hand. Okay, Dylan here. Come here. You can help this. See, he's hesitant to get it. It's just $2. Anybody next who wants it? Okay, Kevin is here. Kevin. Yeah, see? Why don't you want? Okay. My wife. Nobody wants it. Why? It's just $2. Yeah, see? But over 3 billion of people in the world makes that, even less than that, in a day. So you think about that. If you increase that $5, this is 2 days and a half of work for most people. Over 3 billion people work half a week just to earn this. Can you imagine that? And so even if I lose this, my wife won't be mad at me. It's just $5. Even if I throw this out, I mean, people probably still don't want this. Anybody want this? Yes. Okay, Francis this time, Francis. See if he wants it, really. Okay, so there you go. Okay. He played drum today, so that's his 1 hour wage. So look, I just gave away $7. How many days is that? Like 3 days and a half of work of 3 billion people. Why? Because we're rich. You're rich. I'm rich. You may not think of it that way, but we are. Over 3 billion people. So God, when He says command those who are rich, He's talking about you. Like, imagine this. $10. Just imagine this. This is 1 week of work of over 3 billion people in the world. And you know what? This is a lunch at Kaspa, the Persian restaurant. So I'll need this for my lunch on Monday. So I need that. Anybody wants to join me? Go ahead. I can pay for myself. But just imagine. 3.5 days of work I just gave away, but it's nothing to us because we are rich. So when the Bible says command those who are rich, He's talking about you and me. He's talking about you, that you are rich. And what is the command? 2 things. First is the not. The not is, don't be arrogant and put your hope in wealth, thinking that you are sheltered from all the problems in the world because you have income, you have saved your money, you have savings, RRSP or 401k in the States, you have TFSA. Don't think, don't put your hope in those money. Because 2008, 2009, the market crashed. So that's the not. But it says, instead, put your hope in God. Not hope on your money or riches, but in God, who richly provide. Command them to do good, to be rich in good deeds, and to be generous. See, the contentment is not holding yourself of things, but redirecting that passion of trying to do something to what is needed in the world, which is generosity. People need our help. People need our generosity in this rich culture. And so, I don't know if you know this, but if you have an income of 37,000, do you know that you are in the top 4% earners in the world. 4%. Can you imagine that? That's household income, not individual, but husband and wife, family. But if you make 45,000 a year, you are on the top 1%. So God is telling us, this is for you and for me. God is commanding us not to put our hope in wealth. In fact, Proverbs 23:5, it says, cast but a glance of riches, and they are gone, for they will surely sprout wings and fly off to the sky like an eagle. If you put your hope in riches, in money, in wealth, they'll just fly away. Just a market crash, all your 401k, your RSP, your TFSA is gone. And so the answer to this trap of consumption, of this materialism, is not really to deny the appetite, because we all have the appetite. But instead to redirect that to the passion of serving God, of giving others. Because if you are rich, like I mentioned Floyd Money Mayweather, 4.8 million. If you are rich, if you have that money, and you buy stuff all for yourselves, he buys a car, he buys a house, buys a yacht, buys an airplane. It's when he keeps doing that, it becomes boring to him. It does. But what makes it a happy person who is rich, is when they actually not buy for themselves, but they make other people happy with their riches. That's where satisfaction and fulfillment and contentment really is. And so Paul is saying to us, focus on what is eternal. Because there is a deposit, a bank account that you have in heaven, and you can only deposit to that while you are alive on earth. And when you get there, that's when you see the deposit, the money, the investment in eternity. That's why Paul says like this, so lay up treasures for themselves as a firm foundation for the coming age. He's talking about your savings account in heaven, which you can only fill up in heaven while you are alive here. When you do some things, you help people, you are generous. And so he also says, they may take hold of the life that is truly life. It's not a fake life, but it's a true life when you are generous. When you help people, it makes you truly experience this true life. The abundance life. Actually, one of the top psychiatrists in the U.S., his name was Carl Menninger. He's dead now. But he said this, okay, in his work as a psychiatrist, he said, it is for sure, he said, that the most happiest people and the most healthy people in their mind are the generous people. And I've experienced that too as a pastor. As a pastor, I've seen the most happy people are not the people who consume a lot, but people who are generous, who give to others. And so it is a reminder for us from the Word of God, but even that statement that the most happiest people are the generous people, Jesus said that thousands of years ago, before Carl Menninger said it. You know how Jesus puts it? He says, happy are those who give than those who receive. It is better to give than to receive. In a different version, it says, the more happiness in giving, there's more happiness in giving than it is in receiving. So, contentment is very essential, but we only get it when we are godly, when we are rich toward God. And we guard our hearts from wanting for more. And third, when we also are generous, we share to other people.